Well, good morning, Longhaultanker, straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker, and today is Thursday, May the 1st, 2025, and I'm at home and getting ready for my wife coming home, getting ready for my doctor's appointment tomorrow, and we're going to do a straight razor shave. I've had a haircut using the clippers, and I've had a nice hot shower, and I've used some of the Duke soap that I like to use, that I've got a few bars in the closet behind me, and also sipping on my first cup of coffee this morning. And so let's introduce the equipment that we're going to use for our straight razor shave today. I've got just short, about 4 hours short of a 2 full days, so 48 hours, so about 44 hours. It was approximately 4:30 day before yesterday in North Little Rock at the Love's truck stop, where I had cold water at the sink, and I had the hot water in the shower, and I had to wash out the garbage can and fill it up with hot water from the shower and pour it in the sink so I could actually shave with hot water. You do what you got to do. And that was, you know, it appears that I have not gotten any infection, so we're okay. Using the Allen Block and aftershave, I use the what's that stuff? The green stuff. It smells like eucalyptus. In fact, yeah, Osage rub. I've got some in the closet behind me, but I try to use that for the truck because it also alternately uses as a antiseptic. You never know when you might need an antiseptic. Anyway, for our razor today, we're going to use the absolutely beautiful and exceptionally well-known Helgestrand Eskaluna Sweden MK32. And what a lovely, absolutely lovely razor this is. I have designated this for my own purposes as a part of my vintage mint collection. And you know what? While we're just mentioning that, here's my vintage mint collection. On each end, we have a Fritz Brock tennis razor. Absolutely beautiful. We've got the two Dovos here. One is a Burgershire Low. This is the vintage style Burgershire Low, and it's not so very dissimilar from the MK32. Here's one of my just beautiful favorites, and that's the Javoso Fockerbite, and I've used that plenty of time. And this one is just unparalleled, and that is a Taylor Eyewitness. Taylor Eyewitness from the 1930s, in absolutely drugstore, out of the box, mint condition. I'm not going to open these up right now. And then the next one, the empty space there, that's where the empty MK32 goes. This also is a Dovo Waffen Schmidt, which means weapons manufacturer or weapons maker. And some of these have just beautiful gold wash, and then the Fritz Brock on the end. Now, so that's my mint collection. And when I say mint, I mean mint. I'm trying to use the word as precisely in parallel with, you remember that old, and they may still be available and published today, and that is those red guidebooks for coin collecting. And they have quite a description on each of the different grades of coin, what constitutes uncirculated and mint and excellent condition and so forth and so on. And so I'm trying to use as reasonably precise language. So when I say mint, I don't mean, well, it's got a few rust spots and we've sanded them off and we've cleaned them up and we've polished it and it looks really good. No. I'm talking drugstore, or the haberdashery that somebody may have gone to go, that's stored and stocked up razors, and purchased it brand new, out of the box, off the shelf, sparkling new. And that's these. These are sparkling new. 50 years after their expiration date, you might say. $50, $60, $70 years past their expiration date. So anyway, the soap, we're going to use the same soap we used last shave, Agar, and we'll go from this shave back to the closet, pull out a new one for the road, and you'll be seeing that later, I suppose. And the brush for my entertainment value, we're going to use the Sterling 31 millimeter boar bristle knot. This now is approaching 2 years, year and a half old. And it's just lovely. Absolutely love it. It's holding its own very well. And that's it. Let's get started. I've had a hot shower. I have washed and scrubbed my face quite well. The water in the sink here at the basin is quite hot. And I'm just going to use lather. I know Bill, my good friend, Bill M., has talked here lately a little bit about pre-shave, using the soap lather, using the rich man's pre-shave with the Parasso. And you know what? Let's just... let's just do something for the fun of it. And I bought a number of these Cremo shave soaps years ago, and they don't lather. And the gentleman that makes the A&E soaps, Ariana and Evans soaps, he did a video some time ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago, using the Cremo as a lathering soap, and it didn't lather, and he said he was very disappointed. And I can see why he might have been. And so this is what I use. Get a dollop out there, set that aside. And this certainly provides a great deal of slickness, because the Cremo soaps are very slick, but they just don't lather. And that was the unscented. The red one is the unscented. The blue one is the mentholated. They have an orange one that is a sandalwood. And I think they may have other scents as well, but I don't have them because I stopped buying them. Why do I need or want them if all I'm using them for is a pre-shave conditioner? And I don't really need that because I like using the soap by itself. as a pre-shave conditioner, a poor man's pre-shave, if you want to call it that. I must confess that I have not watched a lot of videos here lately. Tired, health, job. And so today and tomorrow, I've got doctor's appointment with a urologist tomorrow. Hopefully we can get to the bottom of what's going on with the kidney stones and get some straight answers and get a process and procedure in place. I'm not real keen on the idea of having surgery, but if that's what this doctor thinks that needs to happen, that last doctor I went to a couple weeks ago, I'd say doctor, a nurse practitioner at an urgent care facility. I really felt like, what did I get into here? It feels like I was being bamboozled and hustled into surgery, and I wasn't going to have it. Things weren't adding up. When I went to the emergency room, and the emergency doctor, not that he's a urologist, not that he's a specialist, but he gave me a CT scan. He sent me to the imaging, and they came back with a CT scan, and it made sense. It made just a whole lot of sense. Come back, he said, you got a 5mm kidney stone in your right kidney. Okay, fine. You need to get to a urologist and have them remove it, break it up, surgically remove it, whatever. But you need to do that as soon as you get back from this load. And so he gave me the Advil and some other medication. And for the next 2 weeks, because I got back from that Utah run and I had to go out on another run to Iowa. When I got back from the Iowa run, I had an appointment set up with life is never dull. And I've been very concerned about general health, and the people that have performed, these people I'm trying to coordinate the 10 o'clock appointment, 10:30 appointment tomorrow, are the same people. I have a lot of confidence in them, that did the colonoscopy. My last three colonoscopies over the last 5 years. And they did one last year that found the cancer. And then they did the follow-up, even though it took as long as it did, this year. And I'll be going back to them in 12 months for the follow-up to the follow-up and get me back on a, whatever it was, 2-4 year cycle between colonoscopy. So this year, thank God that nothing has been as serious as it could have been. I ended up having no colon cancer. The polyps were cancerous, yes. The kidney stones are real. I'm standing here today, almost 2 months after the original attack, and I've not really felt any twinge of pain since the original emergency attack. So again, thank God for that. And the other item that I've not talked about much, because it's not what you would call painful or life-threatening is something I'm just going to keep below the radar. Maybe I have talked about it. I don't know, but it's not necessary, so I'm not going to. I say none of this is necessary, is it? All right, MK32 Swedish razor. Just love this. Honed it up on a shaft and glass progression up to 30,000. Just short. I got about 44 hours worth of growth on my face, and so here we go. As I get started, I'm using light pressure. Degree of angle is low. And which is to say nearly flat, which is what I want. Oh, that's very nice. Now I have approximately 70 straight razors that are in my collection that are in regular, continuous use. I have new production razors. I have 3 7-day roll-ups of new production razors. I have 4 roll-ups of vintage razors, one of which is the vintage collection that I just showed you a bit ago. And I do all of my own honing. I have what I will call a complete set of the shaft and glass stones, the 500 grit, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, 16,000, and 30,000 grit. And I have the big square bowl. That's not the right word. Shaft and glass. It's like a water. You set your stuff, and I have the stone holder, the big one, and 2 of the smaller ones. Oh, that's just lovely. Then I have the Arkansas stones. I have the hard black, also known as a surgical black. I have a true hard, the black and white variegated color. And then I have a Norton translucent. It's variegated color, but it is translucent throughout the entire stone. And those 3, and you've heard me talk about the Arkansas stones. They're identical. They produce the different grades of those 3, translucent, hard black, and true hard, produce an identical edge. Very, very similar. I have 3. Actually, I have 2 8x3 cauticles. I have a approximately a 2x7 caudicle. My 8x3s, I got a caudicle A, I got a caudicle B. That's how I refer to them. My caudicle A is the one that I'm most familiar with and practice with all the time, and I'm pretty good making an edge. The other, I don't, the caudicle B, not so much. Why? If I do well with the A, why use the B? And so it sits under the sink. My caudicle M, which is the 2x5 or so, 7, it was recently sent to me within the last year. And the few times that I've actually used the caudicle M, I've just not produced anything that I can use. And I just don't have the time to fool around with, like I used to on my previous job, where I may have had 3 or 4 days off at a time. I don't have that kind of time off on this job. I also have a Belgian blue whetstone. Some people call it a caudicle, and it does have garnets. And so that's fine, a Belgian blue caudicle, if you want to call it that. But I don't use it so much either. And then I have the Zulu Gray, and I love the Zulu Gray, and I use it in combination with other things as well, but it always is the final finisher, because it is just, and that's everything I've ever read about honing is that's when you ask what was it finished on, that's whatever the final stone is that touches the razor, that's what you've got. Whether it's Zulu or Arkansas or caudicle, whatever the final stone is. And so you can use them. You can use any stone in combination with other stones, and it doesn't really matter. But whatever that final stone is, that's what you say it was finished on. And so you may go caudicle to Arkansas, finish with Zulu, and so you've got if you've done your job right in setting the bevel, polishing the bevel, mid-range stone, whatever your mid-range is, the caudicle, or you're using it as a mid-range, if you've done your job right, that final stone, because it erases all the other striations, and that's the key. That's the key. If you're using the stone correctly and doing your job right, whatever stone you're using as a final, because each progressive step as you're honing erases or removes the striations of the previous stone. So you've gone caudicle, you got caudicle striations. You go to Arkansas, you got Arkansas striations, and they have removed all of the previous caudicle striations. You go to the Zulu, and it removes all of the Arkansas. And so, if that's your fancy to do it that way, that's why, for me, the simplest, use the Shapton glass synthetic set to get the stone all the way up through the 30,000. get it set to where you want it, the edge. Get it set to where you want it, then go to your finishing stone, whether it's Zulu, Arkansas, Conical, even if it's a step backwards, because you've got the razor to what some might call its apex finish, Shapton glass 30,000, and then you take it backwards, and so it's ready. There would be no question. As to whether or not that razor was ready for that final stone. And so you take it to 30,000, you come back to the whatever. You know, a lot of people say that a conical, even the best of conicals, is really not much better than an 8K synthetic. You know, whether it is or it isn't, I'm not one that believes so much in measuring natural stones against a synthetic numbering system. Oh, it's very nice. Yeah, I felt that little sting. I'm going to use one of my special colognes, Versace Pour Homme, whatever that is, out of the collection that my daughter bought me. So my wife left on Monday to go on a business trip. She is a recruiting manager for a company, and that has numerous locations throughout Texas. And so she helps with the hiring process, with hiring managers. And I lucked out, guys. I got a good wife. And so she's coming home this afternoon. Delivery of my load was in Jacksonville, North Little Rock, yesterday morning at 0800. They had me out of there by 9:30. I got back to the yard after about 500 miles. Baytown, Texas, which is on the southeast side of Houston, and did my post-trip process, got out of there, and got home by about 7. Oh yeah, feels good. Well, I'm not trying to hurry, but I am trying to move along because I know she's en route. I did speak to her before I started the shave, and she was about halfway back from Dallas. She spent the night last night with the daughter in Dallas. They live on the northwest side of, up by the lake, the big lake. I was asked a question, if I do my own honing, or do one fellow, as one fellow put it, said, do you have enough razors that you don't need to hone? Well, no, you always need to hone your razors. Some people, now I don't follow this procedure. In fact, I've got one, maybe two that need some refreshing right now. And there's difference between setting the bevel and progression and refreshing. And that's kind of, a lot of that's up to the individual, how far back in the process they want to go to bring it forward again, to refresh the edge, whether you're stopping at 8K, 16K, 20K, 30K, all, you know, wherever you want, or you know, the natural Arkansas, whatever you're using that you want to finish on, how far back do you go in a refresh process, or do you just go back to the final finishing stone and work that for a few strokes? You know, and that, so much of that is just completely up to the user. And so for me, a refresh, I probably wouldn't go back much further. I would start with the 8K. I'd go back if I was finished on a Shapton glass 30,000, which is I think it's a 0.5 micron. I would probably go back to the 8K, come forward back to the 30. And if I still wasn't satisfied, I'd go back to I would check this before leaving the 8K, but I'd go back to the 4K Shapton glass. So much of this is just, there's no right or wrong. Just certain principles to observe. Several fellows that I listened to early on, 10 years ago, the real object in honing a razor is, yes, make it shave ready, yes, make it sharp, but also to preserve as much steel as possible on the razor. Because once you take it off, you can't put it back on. It's gone. And all you got to do is go to eBay and look at some of these razors that have been so worn down. And you'll know what I'm talking about. And so from one age or one set of hands, one owner to another owner, and their different practices, you wonder sometimes, how does a razor get in such bad shape? Is it just a passage of time? Is it that it wasn't stored very well? It was tossed into a closet, it was tossed into a drawer, tossed into a shoebox. Those are what I call cheating strokes. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I kind of know what's coming. Yeah, that's so good. I could stop right there and call it done. But I'm going to get that last little bit of perfection out of my shave. I just love this brush. This is the only boar bristle brush. This Sterling 31 millimeter Zenith, Italian made. And I like some of the other Zeniths as well. I don't like many of the other manufacturers of boar bristle brushes. You can see back on the, over there. Yeah, right there. I've got 2 or 3 boar Omega, Smog, and I just don't like them. I think every boar bristle brush ought to be made on these dimensions, no smaller than, this is a 31 millimeter knot. And so anywhere from, and you've seen me use some of the smaller ones that I bought from Zenith off of eBay. And they say that they're 27, 28. One even says it's a 30 millimeter. I don't believe them, but they're suitable. They're suitable. And I've used them on the road. In fact, I can show you right now. This is the one that you sometimes see me use on the road, on the videos, Zenith. They say that this is a 30 millimeter, maybe 28. I don't remember positively. And it's suitable. It's very suitable. I like using this. And this is the sister brush. This is still brand new, virgin, never been used. Again, 28, 30 millimeter. Got the orange-ish color, and it's and this, based on usage, is very suitable. I like it just fine, and so I suppose this one would be too. I'm going to set those to the side. I will probably have another shave. I don't know that it'll be on camera on Saturday. And so I was saving that one for, because I've got those Simpson brushes and the Plasson brush that I love so much. My personal preference has always been for the Badger, the high-end Badger. I've spent, on some of those brushes, I spent an insane amount of money. I wonder if I nicked myself, because I felt a little sting there too. So I got three elements here. Got the brush, I got the soap, and I got the razor, and all three of them are just performing as they should, admirably. I will say too, add this, MK32 was stropped up this morning on a Kaneyama 80,000 on all three of the elements, the linen strop, the suede strop, and the horsehide, the cordovan finish, and just slick and wonderful. Now, if you look at my Kaneyama 80,000, it's going to have a dark, like, stain. It's not fresh, it's not brand new, it's a few years old, but as a truck driver, I get that diesel all over me. Not the diesel fuel, but the exhaust. And it seems like no matter how well I wash, everything I touch, from a white shirt to a leather strop, over time leaves a blackish residue. And so, which, I don't like it, not much you can do about it. Diesel has a way of turning everything black. And again, not much you can do about it. It's the price we pay as a society for having diesel fuel to power the trucks, to get the stuff where we want them. Oh, that's just lovely. So I've got like, 1, 2, 5. I've got 5 different strops. And you wouldn't know it unless I told you. I carry 3 with me in the truck, in my travel bag. And I have 2 at home hanging from a corded loop on a doorknob. What I carry with me in the truck, the 3 that I carry with me in the truck are the Illinois 360, and that's the one that does not have a handle, and the Premier strop. I ordered it from Lynn Abrams' store years ago. In a Latigo. And then a Duke Buffalo, which is very slick, almost like the Kaneyama. But it's not cordovan, it's buffalo. Well, I got some bird sounds going on the TV from YouTube. Sip of coffee. Okay, I think that'll do it for the face shave. That's just fantastic. You've seen me do several head shaves here recently using the same razor as I use on the face shave, and I've got to think a little bit more about how I'm going to, because I like using the same razor for both, but some of the razors that I use for the head shave I don't use and haven't used traditionally or historically for my face shave, and I've got to decide how I'm going to, what I'm going to do with those razors. Am I going to start using them for face shaves like the George Wostenholm, over 100 years old, pre-1891? I don't know how I'm going to handle that yet. And the George Fox, it's a nice razor, not George, but the Fox Razor Company. It's a nice razor, and I like using it for the head shave. And that's the thing about having so many razors, is that, and getting older, and 65 years old, and all of this stuff, and not a lot of time at home to do what I want to do with regard to my razor collection, honing and etc. Because I like all my razors, like them all just fine, but I like the mint condition and the new production at least somewhat more than the old vintage stuff. Oh, that's just, that feels so nice. Always hard to see that line right after a head haircut. But that's all right. They don't last that long anyway. All right, very good. All right, I think that's about it. Okay. So for the primary equipment today, we use I want to show these scales off. The MK32. There it is, MK32. And we'll show the front side. Yeah, that'll do. Eskilstuna, Sweden, CV Helgestrand MK32. So, bought this from my good friend Matt Lukey 3262. Lukey 3262 is where you'll find him on YouTube. And he doesn't do a lot of videos anymore, but he's got one of the largest collections that I've ever heard of, numbering in the hundreds and even thousands of razors. And some of them come from estate sales and I don't know what else, but he's got quite a collection. And so I told him to keep an eye. When I was looking for the MK32, I asked him to keep an eye out in his own. He said, yeah, I know where I've got a couple. So, and sure enough, one turned out to be excellent. He gave me a very good price on it. And I've been happy with it ever since. Let's see. I always like to rinse my brush out and rinse my face afterward in the soapy water in the sink. I'll do a final rinse after I empty the sink. With my alum block, Osma alum block. Oh, it's very nice, very nice. Almost nothing. You got the little scratches there, the little nicks, they kind of sting a little bit. But other than that, it's a nothing burger, which is what I understand that most people are looking for. You know, like on the head, nothing burger. It's just nothing, no sting. It provides an antiseptic. And I guess this stuff goes back, or alum in general goes back, way back into the pioneer days, which I guess is how they avoided infection, which hence the comment I made about not having an infection from the water from the garbage can in my sink day before yesterday afternoon. All right, I'm gonna let that soak. All right, let's get on to some other. Okay, so there's the alum, and we're gonna splash on some Thayer's lavender. Let that dry for a second or two. I'm going to do my final rinse on my brush, because once I get my good cologne on my hands, I really don't want to rinse that off. And I've given a good rinse to get the soap out in the sink water. Now I'm just running some water. Oops. And that's good enough. And we'll set that aside over here. My wife ought to be getting home here pretty soon. All right. Now, we got the little vial. Versace por uma. Don't mean nothing to me. I'm sure it's probably going to smell pretty nice, but we'll see. I try to take about a half. I can't see into that vial, but the way it's worked out mostly is I squirt so much in the palm of my hand, and that works out to about half of the vial. And here's the box I've got that has so much, so all of the, and I take about half. That's a good example. This half, and almost all of these in here are like that, about half. About half. So I get 2 uses out of the vials, and they have given me, my stepdaughters have given me this kind of a gift 3 times over the last 5 years or so, and that is so many come in and I'll use them and use half, and I'll put them in that box, and they build up, and I don't know that I've ever actually emptied any one vial, and I've still got the ones that are still in the box are still full, and some of them are kind of sizable that I'll get more than 2. That's still quite full. And so I'll get many more. I say many. If I normally get 2 usages out of the small vial, then I'll probably get a good 10 to 12 usages out of the larger mini bottles. So that's it. I'm done. Thank you so much for staying with me, and I will see you down the road.